Higgins doing these radio road tours. Let's have them play in the Super Bowl next year again. How would that be?
That would be on. I literally said that on I think I said it yesterday. I think I it's fun watch. Or no, I did tweet about it. I think that's what it was. It's fun watching him in the Pro Bowl, but I don't want to see him in the Pro Bowl next year. I want them to be in the Super Bowl. This is ridiculous. And Dan Orlovsky said it basically on the broadcast that these guys are amazing. They're fun to watch. We need them in the playoffs next year. The Bengals have got to get this fixed. Now, I know pie in the sky, Max Crosby, Jeffrey Simmons. I don't think you can get both of them. Hell, I don't even know if you get one of them. But that's the kind of type of swings I think this Bengals front office needs to take this offseason. What's your thoughts on what they're going to do this offseason, what you think they're going to do this offseason, or what actually is going to happen?
Right now, to be honest with you, I don't definitively know what I think they're going to do. I can tell you what I think they can do. I can tell you what I think they should do, which I think is what everybody thinks they should do. But I genuinely do not know what the Bengals are going to do. I don't know if they're going to go all in and spend a bunch of money in free agency like they did in 2021, which would be awesome. I also could see them not doing much of anything, which I think would definitely infuriate this fan base unless they think that the guys that they have are going to get better and you're betting on that. But what I would tell you is I really hope that they understand that hope is not a strategy. They need to be better in a lot of key areas, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And when you mention that they may not be able to get one or both of Jeffrey Simmons and Max Crosby, why not? Like, why can't they? I mean, they need the talent, and you get a guy of Max Crosby who's only been in the NFL, I believe, for 7 years, and then you get a guy in Jeffrey Simmons who's this veteran defensive tackle that just always seems to be in the right position at the right time. He rarely misses a tackle. He rarely is not in the right place. Obviously, Bengals fans remember him for basically wrecking Joe Burrow in the playoffs years ago. I was at that game. So it kind of would be full circle to get him into Cincinnati. And I also think it's not just about signing guys to make your defense better. I think another benefit that isn't being discussed, we talked about this on Bengal Squad earlier this week and last week. You get these guys on defense into your building, that's going to only make the offense better in training camp and practice. What's the saying, Ice? Iron sharpens iron. So competition breeds success. I'm telling you what, this team, they need to be better in their preparation for games. They need to be better in their training camp preparations. And I will give them credit for changing some of the ways they did things last year at training camp. It led to a 2-0 start, Joe Burrow's injury, unfortunately, notwithstanding. So for me, there's so many ways this offseason could play out. I do say this. I think they know they have to. The Bengals front office, I believe, more so than at any point in their history, is concerned about their reputation outside the building. And I think along with that, and you can draft and develop all you want. Unfortunately, this franchise has not been good at doing that. So what do you do then? Here's my ideal offseason for you guys. You ready? Yeah, here's my ideal offseason. You spend a bunch of money in free agency. I don't even care if that includes an offensive guy that can make your offense better if that's one of your signings. I want in the NFL draft to say BPA. Who's the best player available? I don't care what position he plays. If it's Jeremiah Love, it's Jeremiah Love. I mean, I'd personally love him now to have him on the team. If it's, I don't know, Carnell Tate, it's Carnell Tate. Personally, I think this team could use another Tyler Boyd-like wide receiver. So there's a lot of ways this offseason can play out. I will say this, and a lot of Bengals beat writers and colleagues of mine have said this. It's February 5th. It's been a quiet offseason so far. There's no noise coming from the locker room. You love hearing that. But you got to do something. You can't just have Burrow, Chase, and Higgins doing their tours, and then you do nothing. Like Dan Orlovsky said. I mean, here's the other thing, too. The sad reality of it is the Steelers have made the playoffs each of the last 3 years. The Bengals haven't. So, everybody can say to you, oh, man, it's not as fun without you guys in the playoffs. Do something about it. Quit listening to the praise that you're getting and actually do something about it. Because when you count this team out, I think that's when they're at their best.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, I like what you said. Why not? Why can't they go out and get these guys? I mean, you could be the Los Angeles Rams of a couple years ago and F those picks. I mean, just look at it this way. If they were to be able to put some kind of package together to get Max Crosby and Jeffrey Simmons, Go out and sign me a top quality safety. And then I don't care what you do with it. I do care, but what you do in the draft isn't going to be that crucial. Because if you add those three guys, you got your pass rusher, you got your interior defensive line, and you got your safety. Those are the three big things. I would like to see some more another veteran added to the linebacker room. But if you get Max Crosby and Jeffrey Simmons, that's a pretty daggone good offseason, along with signing a safety there. And Ken, I know you're asking in the chat here about Trey Henderson. They're not re-signing Trey Henderson. I think we're all on the. I would love them to sign Trey Henderson. I don't think that's happening. So that's why I think Ken said we don't need Max Crosby. Well, we're not going to sign Trey Henderson. What I would like to see them do, this would be a smart thing, I think, is this way they can control the narrative of where Trey goes, is to tag him and trade him. And people are like, oh, nobody's going to do that. Like, he's the number one free agent in all of football. I mean, everybody said he's the number one guy. Like, oh, you don't get a fourth pick. Fine. I'll get a fourth pick and I'll send him to the NFC. Great. That would be perfect. That's how I would handle the whole Trey Hendrickson situation. What's your thoughts on Trey?
Trey's interesting, and this is going to be our topic of conversation tomorrow on the Bengal Squad Show. It's going to lead off the entire show because I personally don't know if it's a foregone conclusion that Trey Hendrickson's not going to be a Bengal in 2026.
Really?
We're led to believe that he's not going to be, and I personally, if I had to tell you what I think, I don't think he's going to be a Bengal in 2026. I think the relationship, unfortunately, is too frayed and too fractured to be repaired, which is unfortunate. You have to understand Trey Hendrickson, in 3 of his 5 seasons with the Bengals, has had at least 15 and a half sacks. That's elite production. And I don't know off the top of my head what the previous single season sack record in Bengals history was before Hendrickson got here, but he's arguably your best pass rusher in franchise history. And this franchise has had some good pass rushers throughout their history, but Trey Hendrickson and what he can do and just wreak havoc on opposing offensive lines. I mean, he got opposing offensive linemen benched in games throughout his Bengals tenure. So my only issue with Trey Hendrickson being gone, and I would tell people this, and I saw this from, it may have been you who actually tweeted this, Ice. I'm not sure if it was you or someone else who tweeted this, but one of your biggest needs this offseason is pass rush.
Yes.
You got one in the building in Trey Hendrickson. Now, again, do you want to spend a lot of money? Because he is going to command a lot of money. I don't care how old he is. He still went on the field and healthy, a top 2, 3, 4, 5, at least edge rusher in the NFL. So he's going to command a lot of money. The question is, do the Bengals want to spend most of that money there, or do they want to be able to get a lot of guys in free agency to come and have a better chance on hitting on most of them like they did in 2021? So I think Trey Hendrickson is on his way out, but I don't know for sure because, again, do the Bengals believe that they can find that premier edge rusher in free agency? Max Crosby's a little younger, so you like that.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember Trey Hendrickson has done massive things for this franchise. He's been unbelievable for this defense. The run game, I know people want to bring that up, but at the same time, what is an edge rusher supposed to do first and foremost? Go get the dang quarterback. He's done that a ton here in Cincinnati. So it's going to be interesting to see what they ultimately do with him. I hope they're smart with it. I hope they've learned from their mistakes in the past when it comes to contract extensions. And I want to go back, if you don't mind, Ice, to some other things you mentioned when it comes to a game-changing safety. Look, safety is one of my favorite positions in the NFL. And the kind of safety that I like is someone that can cover a great deal of grass on the field, but also I want someone who's physically imposing that a quarterback has to think in the back of his head he could come and blitz.
Right.
And you know this, I know this growing up watching Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed terrorize Andy Dalton, Carson Palmer, whoever it was.
Yep.
So can the Bengals have that? They had it in Jesse Bates. We all know how that turned out. So you have to go get someone that can be that closer. And I'm not talking about just going to get the quarterback with the game on the line. I'm talking about, can you make a game-changing pick in the third quarter? Can you make that play in the fourth quarter that completely sends the jungle into a frenzy, that completely silences a road crowd when you're playing on the road? So can you do that? Again, when it comes to the Bengals defense, I don't care what position they prioritize in free agency. For me, they just need someone that can say, when the game is on the line, I got this.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I'm going to make a play here. I'm going to be in the right position at the right time. They had a lot of those guys in 21 and 22. Unfortunately, a lot of them are no longer here.
None
So
of them are here.
you have to do that. When you talk about like, and this goes, this isn't just for the Bengals, this goes for a lot of teams. When you talk about what your biggest position of need is, you can say that and you can go after it and target it. The Ravens did it with Derrick Henry. There have been many other teams. I mean, what's another classic example? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. That just the Ravens and Derrick Henry, because the Ravens needed someone
Right.
to have their running game take off. They did. Like Buffalo needs a wide receiver. AJ Brown is not happy in Philadelphia. Why don't you go trade for him? So for me, I think again, it comes down to what they did in 21 was, yeah, they signed a bunch of great free agents at positions of need. They signed leaders, they signed captains, they signed veterans, they signed winners. Those are the guys you need in the building. You are still in a win now mode. I don't care if the Bengals went 6-11 last year or not. They did.
Right. Exactly.
You can still win a Super Bowl because you have the right guys in the room, and Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Gesicki even. The offensive line even has gotten better. So you need to bring guys in that can revive the winning culture that you had going for you not too long ago.
Yeah, exactly. And a couple of things you said there, the winning culture, adding guys and adding a safety. Now let's just say that they keep the 10th overall pick, which they most likely will. To me, that guy is Caleb Downs, and I've been on him. I've kind of went to the Peter Woods thing, but I went back to Caleb Downs. He is just like you said. He's Ed Reed. He's Troy Polamalu. And people are like, well, he's not going to be there. Ed Reed got drafted 22nd. His first round pick, but he's 22nd pick. Safeties don't get drafted that high normally. But Caleb Downs, his ability to play multiple positions. You could put him at corner. You can put him at the slot. You can put him at wide receiver. You can put him off the edge and blitz him. There's up the middle and blitz him, I should say. There's so many different things that you can do with him. He is a game-changing safety that this team desperately needs. And talk about some free agents that they could get. I do have a list of them here. Let me pop these up here. I put up here. Like Odofe, I always mess his name up, from the Chargers. He'd be my number one guy to go get. He's only at 27. And the other one I like is Arnold Mbike, which I think I'm saying his name wrong, but he's another one that's 27 years old. These are guys. Mbike reminds me more of his career trajectory like Trey Henderson was at in New Orleans, where he didn't get a lot of playing time or anything, but once he got it, he did better for the Bengals than he did for New Orleans. And I think he might be able to capitalize on that with those guys. And the guy for the Chargers, who I'm talking about.
Adafe Owe.
Yeah,
and I know him because Otega Owe, his brother, plays for Kentucky and has been performing like a superstar over the last 2 games, basically. So that's a great list you showed me there, Ice. I definitely like Adafe Owe. I also like Marcus Davenport. I'm going to tell you why. It goes back to the point I just made. He comes from Detroit. Well, look at what the Lions have done the last 3 seasons. 12 wins in 23, 15 wins the following season. I know they only had 9 wins this past season, but they were still 4-1. They were 8-5. You come from a winning culture. You come from a culture of toughness. You can bring that in. And then there's one other guy on that list. Arnold Ebiketie is interesting. Boy Mafa, though, so underrated when you talk about a guy from the Seattle Seahawks, and obviously they're playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday, but that Seattle defensive line with guys like Leonard Williams and their ability to get after the quarterback and just play fundamental football. That's the kind of guy, Boy Mafa. You can come to Cincinnati, not only as a veteran, you can help guys like Miles Murphy and Shamar Stewart, who's probably the biggest wild card going into next season. But what you're also getting is a guy who comes from a winning culture and understands how it's done. He can completely change. And also he now would get to star in a role, not playing with Leonard Williams on the same defensive line. So there's a lot of good players on that list. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, a lot of guys that come from winning teams. Owe comes from the Chargers. They've won 11 games each the last 2 years. Even Arnold Ebiketie, I mean, he comes from a defense that got better in the Falcons last year with James Pierce Jr. and Xavier Watts. It's going to be interesting to see if one of them wins Defensive Rookie of the Year tonight at the NFL honor. So that's a good list there. You should be able to get 1, maybe 2 of those guys.
I think you can get 2. And the thing is, look at their ages too. That's the other. This is their wheelhouse. I know Davenport is 29, so that one might be out of the age range.
They might stay away from that.
Right, but 27. That's the age range that the Bengals like, and they have done well with getting guys in that age range and this point in their career. And I mean, I don't think any of them are going to cost as much as Trey is wanting. So this may be more a warehouse where we could get two of those guys. If you get two of those guys and you can bring back Joseph Osai, which I think is a big if because it depends on his agent, and they've only signed I think one contract with his agent, and that was last year with Osai. But if you could bring them back, you got all four of those guys, all Max Murphy, and then you got Shamar Stewart, who you could kick inside, he can play outside. I mean, that is a rotational pass rush that I can get behind. And then putting Shamar Stewart on the inside more gives you that push up front. So that's another option that the Bengals could do. And I think that is feasible under their contract structure, the way they don't spend all the way up to the cap. They spend just to it. But I think they could fit all those guys under that, along with drafting, hopefully, Caleb Downs.
And that's a great way to put it, Ice. Don't limit. What I would tell the Bengals is, and this is coming from someone whose family has had season tickets since 1968, what I would tell them is, don't limit yourself to just one of each or just a certain amount of money that you're going to spend. Like, go outside the box a little bit, maybe bend your salary cap a little bit, maybe bend your cap space a little bit. Like,
be nice.
Don't be afraid. I'm not saying do what the Rams did, even though the Rams rebounded much quicker than I ever expected.
How about this?
Go ahead.
Go do what the Cincinnati Reds did. Just go do what they did when they went out and signed Geno Suarez. They said, we can't spend any more on this. Can't spend any more on this. All right, we're close. We'll go ahead and take the bite, and we'll spend the extra money to go get that power bat we need. That's all I'm asking the Bengals to do. Just, you don't have to spend beyond the salary cap and be in salary cap hell for years. They don't need to, even if they don't restructure Joe, Jamar, and T's contracts, which that would be another smart thing to do, but that's stuff they don't do. Maybe they'll do that this year. Who knows? But those are things that's all I'm asking. And for people like Alex, people think I'm crazy because you said it, that the Super Bowl window is still open.
It still is.
That. Yeah, and we're not. I don't think. Yes, we're 6-10. I don't think we're that far off. If you can get this defense, get a consistent pass rush, get a safety veteran back there along with Jordan Battle, and maybe get a veteran in the linebacker room, I think our defense is fixed. I think we could have to compete. I mean, I'm not saying fixed to where it's a top 5, but if it's a top 15, that's all I'm asking for.
Well, look, guys, you're right. The bar is so low right now for the Bengals defense. I mean, I still have nightmares about watching Colston Loveland bang off Jordan Battle and Geno Stone. I actually had to leave that game early. That's an interesting story of mine. But what I will say to you is, look at what other teams around the NFL have done, and getting from, like, look at the Chicago Bears this past year. Okay, the Chicago Bears. They were 5-12 in Caleb Williams' rookie season. And Caleb Williams, fun fact, was never the problem in that rookie season. They were just their coaching staff wasn't great. The talent wasn't there. So what did they do this past offseason? Well, they hired the up-and-coming offensive genius in Ben Johnson, which he actually is. So give credit to him. What else did they do? So Ben Johnson, they said, all right, he's going to call the plays. He's going to run the offense. But we need someone that's a veteran that can run a defense. Oh, let's go get Dennis Allen, a guy that I campaigned for twice to be the Bengals defensive coordinator. There's a reason why. You saw the Bears defense last year make so many plays on that side of the ball. They went out and got Edmonds. I forget if it's Tremaine or Terrell. I think it's Tremaine Edmonds. They went out and got Tremaine Edmonds. Kevin Byard was their Pro Bowler. So you look at the Bears defense, they got better because they kept forcing turnovers when it mattered. Now, did they stop anybody? Debatable. But still, the Bears went from 5 wins last year to 11 wins this year, and they nearly went to the NFC Championship. All right? Let's go to the San Francisco 49ers. In 2019, they went from 4-12 to 13-3. How'd they do it? Well, they remade their offense, and then they go out and get Quan Alexander, a linebacker. But not only that, Ice, he got hurt middle of the season. Insert Fred Warner. It's like Fred Warner's better than Quan Alexander. Oh, wait, no offense to Quan. He actually is. Fred Warner's the best linebacker in football. So there are teams around the NFL that have made the jump from, not so great season one year to a really look like the Jacksonville Jaguars were 4-13 in 2024. This past year they were 13-4. How'd they do it? They have solid players on defense. They restructured their front office, brought in a new GM and James Gladstone. And what did he do? His first big move as GM, trades up to get Travis Hunter. Boom. Jacksonville wins the AFC South. Their offense is one of the most dynamic in the NFL. So it just goes to show you. And another thing I would tell the Bengals front office is get uncomfortable a little bit. Get uncomfortable, embrace some change. They've made some changes over the last few years. I'll give them credit for that. They've spent a little more in free agency. They've upgraded the game day experience. The relationship with the fan base is more present than it's ever been. That's fine. But now you got to truly, like when Mike Brown said in that, statement he made after the season, we're going to take a hard look, at everything we were doing.
All right.
Okay. I like hearing that. I like hearing that.
Do it.
Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Back it up. And something tells me I think he will. Here's something else, Ice, that I've said before on Bengals Squad, and I've talked about this with other members of my family. We're huge Bengals fans. Mike Brown's 90 years old. Okay?
Right.
Now, obviously, I hope he lives a very, very long life ahead of him.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that thinks I want to see this sooner rather than later. The Bengals win the Super Bowl. And anybody that tells me Mike Brown doesn't care about winning, shut your dang mouth. Seriously. Yeah, and I'm not trying to be what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not trying to be vicious or anything. But seriously, you don't think Mike Brown cares about winning? The son of Paul Brown doesn't care about winning. Dan Horde has told me this to my face, and I believe a lot of things, if not everything Dan Horde tells me. I actually believe everything he tells me because he's the voice of the Bengals and he's my mentor. Dan Horde has told me Mike Brown's been around football his whole life. He cares about winning. He absolutely cares about winning. And I think there's a part of me, because he said that in his statement, because he mentioned Duke Tobin for the first time in what feels like forever, I think he's putting, the heat on this front office and this team, because you have Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins, you've done all these things. The last 3 years have blown up in your face with your approach. I think they're going to change it. Now, are they going to get uncomfortable in contract extensions and this and that? You can always hope. And here's the thing, too, Eisen. I think this is something for us Bengals fans. You probably view this way. I certainly do. The 21 team changed the way I view them. It changed the way I view a lot of things, because I saw them finally break through. I saw them, erase so many past ghosts. Playoff win, not winning the playoff game on the road. Throw anything else at me. I view this franchise through a different lens of, they finally turned a corner. They're finally modernizing. We get to be a part of all the big highlight shows because we're a really good team. I view them through a different lens. I certainly hope to keep saying that first off, I hope by February 5th of next year, we're talking about the Bengals playing in Super Bowl 61 in Los Angeles. They played in LA before in the Super Bowl Ice, so you never know. And I've talked too much. Back to you.
No, you're good. You're good. No, you said a lot there, and I don't disagree with anything you said. And another team that went out and went from worst to first and did a lot of stuff in the offseason was the 2020 Bengals to the 2021 Bengals. They did this. So, I mean, we've already seen them do this. Is where I always come back to this. And this is where I get frustrated, where people are like, well, they're just stubborn. I'm like, they've done it before. Yeah. So they know how to do it. Where they've messed up, in my opinion, is one, they've let too many people obviously leave, but they believed in their drafting and developing too much that the guys they let leave, they didn't have anybody there to fill that spot. That's been the biggest problem with this whole thing.
It hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked. And the thing is, where I believe, I'm kind of with you, I believe they will do what they can to fix this, to put this team back in the playoffs, because which means going to free agency. They don't have a choice, in my opinion, Alex. They can't fix this through the draft. Like, they, again, tried to fix it through the draft. They tried to bring in Al Golden, and I think Al Golden did a good job. I think Al Golden did what he was brought here to do. He helped these young guys get better. We found out about DJ Turner. We found out about Miles Murphy. We found out about Jordan Battle. We found out about a lot, Joseph Osai. We found out about a lot of these guys that a year ago this time, I'm like, I have no idea if Miles Murphy is any good or not, because he never played. I think Jordan Battle's good, but I don't know. DJ Turner wasn't even on my radar. I wasn't even talking about him, So Al Golden did what they brought him in to do. The problem is there's not enough talent on that side of the ball to make an impact. And that's where this year you can't draft enough guys to fix this. They have to go into free agency. And I'm not saying go in there and be all willy-nilly and spend crazy. Just do what you did in 21 and 22, or 20 and 21, where you spent smartly in free agency. They got a lot of guys at the right age, between 27 and 30 is the age gap that they wanted. They got a lot of guys in there, and they hit on most of them. I mean, the only one I remember that they didn't hit on was who was that cornerback that they signed?
Trey Waynes.
Yeah, Trey Waynes. He was like the only one that I can remember that they did in that time period that they didn't hit on. I mean, Trey Henderson, Bengals fans are freaking out. Like, who the hell is Trey Henderson? We're who is he? We're counting on him. We're letting why is his name slipping my mind?
Carl Lawson.
Carl Lawson. We're letting Carl Lawson leave. Like, oh, that's our best pass rusher. Well, the Bengals were right, and you got to give them credit when they're right. And I do agree with you. I've had the same conversation with Dan Horde. Dan Horde is awesome.
Oh gosh, yes.
Mike Brown wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
There are times that I don't think he has done everything to win in the modern era of football. It's taking him longer to get there, and I think that's been one of the problems with this. I think he wants to win. I do. I don't know if he's willing to do everything in his power to win, but I think he wants to win. And I'm with you too. He's 90, or he's knock on wood. He'll be here for a while. I'm not wishing death on anybody. He wants to win one before he dies, So that's where this is the time to fix it. I mean, and if you watch the playoffs this year and you watch the AFC and you watch the quarterback play and you watch these teams, these offenses, I don't know about you, but it's driving me freaking nuts because I'm like, if we had a defense, we could smoke most of these teams. Because I'm sorry, why can't I remember people's names right now? The New England's quarterback,
Drake May.
Thank you, Drake May. I'm having problems with names today. Drake May has had an awful playoff. He has not looked good in the playoffs at all. Sam Darnold might turn back into a pumpkin. If you got Joe Burrow against either one of those in the playoffs, and we got a good defense, I'll take Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not missing the passes that Josh Allen missed. He's not crapping the bed like C.J. Stroud did. That's the point. And to me, if I'm the Bengals front office watching these playoff games going, man, we really missed our window this year. That's another reason why I think they're going to go, I don't know if all in, but in enough to fix this team so we are competitive. That's my thoughts.
Well, you're absolutely right because, this year the number one seed in the AFC was Denver with 14 wins, and I don't really know if they're going to be able to sustain what they did this year. New England is another case where, and personally, I'm a big Drake May fan. He's been my pick to win MVP all season because he reminds me a lot of Joe Burrow in his second season, 72% completion. He throws for a lot of touchdowns, throws for a lot of yards. He's in the Super Bowl. I think he could win. I think the Patriots have a shot this week. But
I think it's going to be a Super Bowl, to be honest.
But that's what I agree with. I totally agree with you. If it's anything like the last time the Seahawks and Patriots played, we're in for a good one on Sunday. Yeah. But I think what's interesting, Ice, is after last season, it was the Bengals may have thought, well, we've beaten these teams before. We feel like we got unlucky this year. We have some good pieces. The Chiefs are the Chiefs, and maybe they thought that it was going to be harder to get back to the top of the AFC. It's not really that hard. It's not. You look at the AFC, how wide open it is when your final four quarterbacks are Josh Allen, Bo Nix, C.J. Stroud, Drake May, and insert Joe Burrow in there. The one thing about Joe Burrow, Ice, that I really feel strongly about is even in his worst games, he still makes an impact.
Yes.
Look at the Browns game this year in week 1. Did he play great in that game? Heck no. But look at the little things he did in that game. Leaping over the pile to get out of the end zone on that third straight sack. Prevented a safety. Bengals win by 1 point. Making some smart throws to T. Higgins just to pick up 8 yards or 10 yards to pick up a first down. It's the little things Joe Burrow does that it reminds you why he is consistently great. Now, I do think the last 3 seasons and this season in particular, and realizing that Mahomes wasn't in the playoffs, Lamar wasn't in the playoffs, and the Steelers were in the playoffs with a lame duck 42-year-old quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. So for me, you see that AFC is wide open. I think you have to go out and attack this offseason because the AFC, even though the Patriots have won 10 AFC championships in the last 25 years, and the AFC has been run by a select few franchises compared to the NFC, which that's a whole other conversation we could get into a whole show about if you wanted to. I wrote a whole column about that recently on my Substack, Frankie's Features. Check it out. What I will say to you, Ice, another thing I think about is this. Okay, there are certain teams that are on one end of the extreme when it comes to front office and organizational management. On the positive side, you have the Philadelphia Eagles. And Howie Roseman is what's the word I'm looking for? He's unique. He's a unique general manager. He'll go to the ends of the earth.
You can also say the best GM in football too. You can call him that too.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I'll say this to you. that there is no city and football team with a greater relationship than the Philadelphia Eagles and the city of Philadelphia. I mean, Howie Roseman says he bleeds for this city. I believe it with what he's done. So the Eagles do things that are, they go to the ends of the earth. But I think the Bengals also realize we don't want to be like the Cleveland Browns or the Las Vegas Raiders. The Browns and Raiders, like Bengals fans were clamoring for Zach Taylor not to be back this year. All right. So you want to keep cycling through head coaches and offensive coordinators and this and that. You want to keep ruining quarterback development. I mean, I'm worried for Fernando Mendoza, and I really like the kid if he goes to Las Vegas. Now, I think Clint Kubiak's a very good hire. Shout out Mark Davis for actually doing something right for once. And then Cleveland, I mean, they cycle through quarterbacks and head coaches. I mean, is Shador Sanders it? I personally would say not, but I mean,
hey, he's a Pro Bowler, Alex. Come on now, you got to give this credit.
Ice, put an asterisk by that, please.
There you go.
Seriously, put an asterisk by it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ohio's the quarterback capital of America right now because you got 3
Pro
Bowl quarterbacks from the state of Ohio. So there you go.
Yep.
But you don't want to be like the Browns and Raiders because it just you're going to ruin quarterback development. Think about this, okay? And for everybody watching this, I want them to think about this for a minute because I don't think they grasped the actually good situation Joe Burrow came into. Zach Taylor was in his 2nd season when Joe Burrow was drafted. So you already knew the culture he was building. You already knew the offense he was trying to implement. And you insert a great quarterback like Joe Burrow. Zach Taylor has been instrumental in Joe Burrow's development. And Zach Taylor, I know a lot of people are frustrated with him. Is it really all on him? Or is the front office once again just trying to scapegoat him? I'm sure you heard this. Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan, former Bengals offensive coordinator, they paid for the entire celebration of life for Jay Morrison. Shout out to him if he's listening. His wife, Nikki, who tragically passed away back in December. They paid for the entire event.
Yep.
Just a few days ago.
Yep.
Put wins and losses aside for a minute. Zach Taylor is a very, very good man off the field. And it's not just that. It's giving game balls out to bars around Cincinnati. He cares about winning. He wants to win, okay? And he's won before. When Duke Tobin says things like we've done it before, and Bengals fans say, oh, that's arrogant, it's actually not. It's actually not, Ice. And you brought it up earlier. They have done it before. And I feel like when it comes to Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin, it's like, what do you want them to say? It's like you're backing them into a corner. But again, like here's the thing. Regardless of what the Bengals do this offseason, if they start 4-0 next year, no one's going to be having these conversations. No one's going to be having these conversations. Oh, if they go 4-0, you better believe I'm going to be drinking the Kool-Aid. Okay? Here's the other thing, too. The NFL draft is so interesting to me. First off, it's the most overhyped thing in sports, okay? And I say that generously because I respect the heck out of anybody that spends their professional lives throughout the year preparing for the NFL draft. Shout out Dane Brugler and everybody else who, literally the draft is their professional lives. Yeah. And that is serious dedication right there. I mean, I'm a draft guy, but I'm not a guy that analyzes first step and leverage and stuff like that.
No. I rely on them to do that for me.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And even then, I still don't understand it. So there you go.
Right, exactly.
What I want here's the thing. Free agency matters so much because those guys are veterans. Those guys are developed. You have a clear need. The NFL draft, after the first 2 rounds, you're just trying to build depth. But again, that leads me to this. So this point has been made on Bengal Squad by my good friend and co-host, Coach Art Valero. And he says something that Tony Dungy once told him. It's not the top 10 players on your roster that's going to determine if you win a championship. It's the bottom 43, right? Players 11 through 53. So do enough in free agency to where you can go BPA. And if you do that approach in rounds 1 and 2 of the draft, I guarantee you're going to find someone, regardless of position, that can come in and make an immediate impact. Then someone's talking about Frank's Red Hot. I personally never have that. So there you go. I'm not a Spice guy, by the way.
He's got a nickname for you. Crypt Keeper gives up nicknames for you. So you're Frank's Hot now, I guess. I don't know.
Don't like that. Sorry. But thanks anyway. And Frankie's my stage name, by the way. And I'm so humble about it, Ice, that I've told all my family members you cannot call me that because that's my stage name. I like to be called by my actual name amongst my family members because I'm down to earth that way.
So you want to be want me to call you Frankie instead of Alex?
No, you can call me whatever you will. Just not any words that you. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I got you.
Listen, Frankie, Alex, it doesn't matter to me. So, Ice, what I'm saying to you is this, and I think you agree with me on this. Pick the best players available in round 1 and 2, and then rounds 3 through 7. You just build depth. That's what you need to do. But because if you go BPA rounds 1 and 2, you will find immediate impact players. And then if rounds 3 through 7, you still go BPA, you may find that hidden gem. You may find that Puka Nakua. You may find that Kyron Williams. You may find that Cam Curl. I mean, I'm just naming Rams, so pardon me if I'm rage baiting.
Well, yeah, they went from they drive me that they went from F them picks to get Puka Nakua in the 5th round. It's like But one thing that I will say this, and I've talked about this on the show, that I want the Bengals to take the layups. And to me, one layup right now, and I know Ken's been blowing the chat up about this, and I agree with him. Dalton Reisner, why have they not signed him? And one thing I'll give him the credit here, he said it in the chat, maybe they're thinking about signing I forgot his name already. I just had it in my head. The center for Linderbaum. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Maybe the thing with signing Tyler Linderbaum and kicking Ted Karras over the guard. I don't know. Either way, Dalton Reisner, even if you do that, Dalton Reisner should be signed already because you could use him as your swing tackle if for some crazy reason you went and did sign Linderbaum. But why haven't they signed Reisner? That's the layup. That to me, that's what that I don't say it throws a red flag up. But when you see Dalton Reisner basically darn near begging the Bengals to sign him in the locker room as he's leaving, you know, we're a month past the last game. Why haven't they signed Dalton Reisner? I mean, they signed Tanner Hudson real quick. Dalton Reisner isn't going to cost you that much money to get him done. The offensive line, Joe Burrow even said this is the best offensive line he's played behind in his NFL career. Dalton Reisner was a part of that. Why is he not signed yet? What? I don't get that one. I know you don't really have an answer for it either, but to me, that's the layup. Go take it. This is what worries me a little bit because I'm like, get this done. This is an easy one, and it should already be done. So we'll see. I mean,
no, it does. I mean, I can understand why it worries you. It worries me because, again, what I would tell the Bengals is why wait? Like, why not sign him tomorrow? Like, who says you can't sign anybody prior to Super Bowl Sunday? And again, I think it goes back to two things. You mentioned, first off, that if they go after Tyler Linderbaum and then kick Ted Karras to guard, well, aren't you about continuity?
Yeah.
And yet you're going to be like, well, we think we can be okay with Ted Karras at guard and Linderbaum at center. Well, you didn't draft Linderbaum in the first round in 22, so you sign him now and then kick Ted Karras to guard in his final season. Why are you doing that when you already have a guard in the building? So if you're about continuity, that's the one thing too. It's like this team values continuity, but they don't re-sign key free agents or upcoming free agents. So really, and I'm not sure how many people have mentioned this, it's not that the Bengals value continuity. It's actually that they're inconsistent in their messaging or what we think they're trying to say to us. And then the other thing is, more than anything, can this organization from front office, coaching staff, and players be in total alignment for once, please?
That's one thing that's interesting because I think this with Lou Anarumo. I don't think I thought Lou was a really good defense coordinator, but I don't think the last couple of years they were in line with him because just of what I just said of when he wouldn't play the young guys. We couldn't find out what was going on with these guys. He said it would be a dark day if he lost Jesse Bates and Von Bell, and he ended up losing both of them. I do think the disconnect was there on the coaching staff. Now, I'm with you on the cohesiveness between Zach and Duke and our 4 scouts that we have, but that's should be something that should be hard to do because one, like I just said, they don't have that many people in the room. They should be able to be clear, concise, zero in on your targets and go after them this year. That's what I want. I legitimately, I will be. I don't want to say I'll be upset. I'll be disappointed if the first day of free agency, we don't come out guns blazing right out the door and have somebody signed. And you're like, oh, the Bengals don't do that. No, they do. They did that with Ted Karras and Alex Kappa. They were literally, I think, the first team to announce signings. So again, All I'm asking them to do is do what you did before. That's it. It's nothing that you haven't done. So it's not out. It's not crazy to think the Bengals can do this. We've seen them do it. And that's where it kind of cracks me up. The national media and some Bengals fans forget that. Like, yes, they have done it. That's how we got to the Super Bowl. That's how we got to the AFC Championship game. That's it. Just go do what you did before. You have a plan. You had a plan. Go execute it again. Do the same thing. Now, you can go back to when they signed Orlando Brown. From what I've heard, James Rapine is one who said this from Locked On Bengals. Orlando Brown had to call them. They didn't think they had a shot at getting him. I don't want that this offseason. If you think you have a shot at getting Max Crosby, or even if you don't, call Vegas, call Tennessee about Jeffrey Simmons. Call him. No, he's not available. That's it. Just at least reach out and make the phone call. That's what I'm hoping they're doing. At least try all avenues. Figure out what you can and can't get. And if you don't ask, you're never going to know.
Swing. Just swing for the fences. If you miss on Max Crosby, you still can get one of the 5 guys you threw up earlier. That's what I want this organization to do. They have swung big before. I mean, look at you mentioned Alex Kappa and Ted Karras in 22. I remember that day vividly. Literally the minute after the legal tampering period started, boom, Alex Kappa going to the Bengals. Boom, Ted Karras going to the Bengals. And then here's how great that week was. It's like, well, Lyle Collins is out there. Oh, he spotted a Kenwood ball. Nah, is he really going to come here? Sunday afternoon, boom, he's here. And it just felt like the Bengals could do anything at that time. Like, let's get back to that, okay? Like, just be aggressive. Now, I want to go back to the Lou Anarumo point you made, because there were a lot of people, maybe you were one of them. I allowed myself to get to this point after, I think, the Steelers game in Week 11, where the Bengals defense just could not tackle Mason Rudolph, which has happened before, believe it or not. But I remember there were those who were like, maybe it wasn't time to move on from Anarumo. Well, now it was, okay? Mm-hmm. Because if you want to talk about arrogance, it was Lou Anarumo. It was resistance to not play the young guys.
Flat out resistance. Did not want to play.
What would have happened if Sam Hubbard wasn't trying to pull down Lamar Jackson on that play that now lives in NFL Films lore and got Lamar Jackson on the NFL Daily's top 25 players of the first 25 years, which I still don't somehow agree with, but okay. Like, what if that had been Myles Murphy? What if that had been Joseph Osai? What if that had been anybody but Sam Hubbard? And Sam Hubbard, I revere him for what he did for this organization in this city. He was not in his prime that year, and everybody saw that, including us.
He was hurt.
Yes, he was. Okay, so Lou Anarumo may have been arrogant and resistant to play the young guys because, again, what worked for him and his defense in 22 was playing the veterans. I mean, he was even hesitant to play Dax Hill early on his rookie year. Cam Taylor didn't even get on the field in the starting role until week 8 when Chidobe Awuzie tore his ACL. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and then you watch what happened to the Colts after they traded for Sauce Gardner. They lost their last 7 games. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh, now you see why Zach Taylor moved on from Lou Anarumo. Zach Taylor's moved on. Zach Taylor's had to hire coordinators on both sides of the ball. And to his credit, Dan Pitcher nailed. Al Golden, still wait and see. I like some of the things that I see. And anyone that says, I want to get your take on this. Anyone that says, oh, well, come on, you played the Cardinals, Dolphins, and Browns the last 3 games. Doesn't matter who you play. You still got to win the games. You still got to show some progress. You're still putting some things out on tape. I mean, I was in Miami for the game down there, and they were letting Quinn Ewers dice him up in the first half. Second half, they made some adjustments. They got turnovers. They scored off those turnovers. They started pressuring him a little bit more. That stuff does matter. And these guys, at the end of the day, Eric Carter and Demetrius Knight Jr. and all these young pass rushers, Samar Stewart, they're human. They need confidence. They need to see it working. They saw in the last 3 games. There is hope. So understand, too, that keeping the coaching staff intact may have been what was best this offseason, but you have to do something with it. Again, it's just about, yes, back up your move. Show why this is right. Zach Taylor is the spokesman of this organization. He's got to show that he knows what he's doing, because the Bengals are arguably in the best position of any team in the AFC North. They have new head coaches. They have new coaching staffs. And I do like some of the hires in the AFC North. I think Jesse Minter was a home run hire in Baltimore. I think the Ravens are going to be back in the playoffs next year. Mike McCarthy's very interesting in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure how he's going to do, but he knows. I mean, he has a ring for a reason. And then Todd Monken, I mean, he got Lamar Jackson's passing game off the ground. Could he do it with Shedeur Sanders? You have an advantage, though, and you have an easy schedule. You're playing both South divisions, which, no offense to them, they're not that great divisions. You have the advantages going into this season. How about you maximize that by spending money in free agency? Because when opening day rolls around and the Reds get rolling now with Geno back and it's good vibes here in Cincinnati, generate some excitement leading up to the draft and the schedule release and rookie minicamp, mandatory minicamp, and then training camp. I mean, just generate excitement, please. Reds have done it again. You can too.
Exactly. And that you took the words right out of my mouth. I said this once because everybody's freaking out. And everybody calls me a Zach Homer. I mean, I like Zach. I don't think Zach is a awful coach. I don't think he's, Andy Reid or anything, but I do think he's a good coach. And there is something to the fact of having continuity, especially like you just said, when everybody else got rid of their coaches. They all got to install new systems and new that and all new coaching. We're the same. And with the schedule we're going to have next year, the door's opening up for the Bengals to take advantage of this. They have to take advantage of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is, though, too, I'll put it this way: if it doesn't work next year, then they have to move on from Zach. I do think that if it does not work next year and they go 4 years in a row of not making the playoffs, they have to move on from him. I do think that, but I don't think this was the time to do it. I believe Zach can get us there. Joe and the thing is, Joe and Jamar and T like him, and if they like him, that's pretty good for Zach. Now, one other thing I want to bring up here real quick before I let you go. We've almost been on for an hour here. With Jamar and T going on Radio Row and saying what they did about getting the defense better, and specifically naming Max Crosby and Jeffrey Simmons, did that kind of give you the vibe of Joe Burrow last year, going on Radio Row and saying we need to sign Jamar, T, Mike G, Trey, all these guys? It's a different version of it, but it felt like for me, because I haven't seen Joe on any radio shows for this week. It felt like me that Jamar and T were like, you did your thing last year, we'll do it this year. We'll put the pressure on the Bengals front office this way because it worked last year. Did that feel like that to you?
Well, it did, and I think for several reasons. First off, Jamar and T are so easy to root for, aren't they, Ice? They're so easy to root
awesome.
for.
I can't wait for their podcast. That's gonna be fun.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I found out today. Quick side note: I found out today that George Kittle and his wife have a podcast together.
Really?
Yeah, that could be very interesting. If there's
I hate the Sucky Niners because I'm old. They beat us twice in the Super Bowl, but I love George Kittle. George Kittle's awesome.
Georgia. Oh gosh, yes, totally awesome. Anyway, here's what I'll say about Jamar and T. First off, the Bengals were right to sign both of them, and Joe Burrow. It's almost like Joe Burrow did right by them and getting them signed. Now T and Jamar are returning the favor. That tells you right there, those three have a tight bond. You really like to see that. So that's first and foremost what I think about it. Second thing is this. It's one thing when you're franchise quarterback, and Joe Burrow's been very vocal from the moment he walked in the door. Like, he was named a captain as a rookie. He spoke at the
Rookies Emporium?
No, it wasn't that. It was a team function.
The Freedom Center.
Yes, thank you. I should know that. I live right next to it. So
yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. As a rookie, he did that. And that tells you the respect that this locker room, this organization has for Joe Burrow, which is great. So Jamar and T, it's one thing, again, when your franchise quarterback is being vocal about what he thinks needs to happen. When it's your wide receivers, and I think a lot of times when it comes to a wide receiver position that there can be a diva perception surrounding them. That's anything but with Jamar and T. Higgins.
No, and that's one thing I absolutely love about them even more, because they're not. Sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, you're totally fine. They're totally not. Any Browns fan or any Steelers fan or Ravens fan or any other fan that tries to tell you they are, just walk in the other direction. Don't even entertain that conversation, okay? Yeah. As Duke Tobin says, go get your own wide receiver. So
exactly.
The Bengals have them in Jamar and T. Those guys are leaders. There was a reason they were both named captains this offseason. Now, or the offseason prior to last season. I know what happened to Pittsburgh with Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey. I don't condone that. He shouldn't have done it. But you know what? He owned it. He's moved on. Jalen probably hasn't. And
Jalen Ramsey's been known to be an a-hole, so maybe he might have deserved it too.
Well, I don't want to get too much into that. I mean, I mean, look, Jamar's play against them speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So to have those guys that don't have to be doing this because they are wide receivers, because just because they're not the franchise quarterback, that still speaks volumes. It shows that they're not just in this for the money or the stats or whatever. They want to freaking win, man.
Yes.
They want to win. Both of them won national championships in college. Both of them played in the Super Bowl. Jamar was a rookie. T was in his second year. Same with Joe Burrow. They want to win. They've tasted success. These guys are smart football players. And I'll also say this about Zach Taylor, to your points earlier, Ice. He is a good head coach. He's been in the dang Super Bowl. He was this close to winning it. Okay?
With an awful offensive line, too. I always like to point that out. He had a coach around that offensive line.
Every time I watch that offensive line play, I don't know how they got to the Super Bowl.
I don't either.
I genuinely do not know. I watched the playoff game.
It's like, what?
I watched the playoff game against the Titans recently. They couldn't block a nosebleed in that game.
He got sacked 9 times.
And won.
They still won. I was at that game. I was in the end zone that McPherson kicked the field goal. I started bawling my eyes out there.
One of the coldest games I've ever been to. Anyway, so Zach Taylor, the fact that he got to a Super Bowl, I mean, Joe Burrow was still in his second year. He's still being developed. So clearly Zach Taylor had something to do with that as the offensive play caller.
Yep.
That matters, okay? And the Bengals are like, well, it's not a great coaching cycle. We don't want to trade what we have behind door one or what we have in door one for what could be behind door two. Sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side, Ice. We've heard that phrase before. So Jamar and T, don't make it you off there. Jamar and T doing what they did, it's so great to see because it's not just the fact that we haven't gotten to watch Joe Burrow in the playoffs. It's Jamar Chase and T Higgins. They are the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. There's a reason Higgins was named a Pro Bowler. There's a reason Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in the NFL. Now, JSN may have something to say about that after Super Bowl Sunday. And I'm a big JSN fan. But Jamar Chase and T. Higgins doing what they did this past season with 3 different starting quarterbacks, it just speaks to the volumes of their competitive spirit. It speaks to the fact that they want to win. They're not in this for the glitz and the glamour and the money and all that. No, they want to win, and they have their franchise quarterbacks back. It's great what they've been doing all week.
Exactly. And if you don't think Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in football, just go watch him play defense on the flag football game. That was an unbelievable. I mean, it was literally a one-handed arm stretched all the way out, going around the guy, beating him to the spot, snagging the ball out of the air, one hand, and taking it to the house. That right there is unbelievable. Just and that was on defense when he doesn't play defense. The ball wasn't even thrown to him. Like that right there, to me, tells you all you need about
go watch him play defense in the Pro Bowl and then go watch him block in a game.
Exactly. All right, we've been on for 57 minutes. Alex, I appreciate you coming on. I'm definitely gonna have to get you back on again. Make sure you plug some stuff before I let you go, and anything else you want to plug before I let you leave.
Well, first off, Ice, it's always great coming on with you. I see you out in the community a lot. It's so great to see you at Bengals Now, Fox 19, down in Moore Lane Lager House, one of my favorite restaurants in Cincinnati. We got a great Bengals Squad show coming up tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Yours truly, Coach Art Valero, and our good friend Bengals_Sandspike Santagana, who does a tremendous job with his film breakdowns on CincinnatiBengalsTalk.com and Locked On Bengals. You hear him and see him on that show throughout the season and the year. We got a great show coming up tomorrow. We're talking about Trey Hendrickson, Al Golden, Troy Walters, and a potential solution that I have that could help Zach Taylor. And, of course, our picks for Super Bowl 60. For those of you who are going to listen to the show tomorrow that aren't listening right now, I'll give my pick right now. I'm going Seahawks 28-24. I've been very in on Seattle since last year, and this season is confirming that. So we got a great Bengals squad show coming out tomorrow. I'm going to say this real quick, okay? Ice, next Friday is Friday the 13th, and I believe in good luck on Friday the 13th. It's also the 4-year anniversary of Super Bowl 56. That show, our show on that Friday, is going to be centered around Joe Burrow, and something that I want him to do that he didn't do after the Super Bowl, that looking back on it, I wish he would have. Not going to say what it is, but tune in next Friday for Bengals Squad because that is going to be our main topic of conversation on the 4-year anniversary of Super Bowl 56 on Twitter at Frankie_Natty and Instagram AlexFrank9_Ice. I can't thank you enough. It's always great talking about the Bengals. And who do you think is going to win Super Bowl 60 on Sunday?
So I think it's going to be a very tough game. I think it's going to come down. I think both got very good defenses. I love Seattle's front four. It's going to come down to quarterback play. Basically, it sounds cliche, but whichever quarterback makes the least amount of mistakes, I think it's going to win. But I am with you. I'm picking Seattle. Their defense is unbelievable. Sam Darnold has had an unbelievable season. Drake May has really not. He's had a great regular season. He has been awful in the playoffs. Sam Darnold's been pretty good. He hasn't been, I wouldn't say he's been juggernaut, but he's been pretty good. So the quarterback play has been higher with Seattle than New England. So that's where I'm going. I'm going Seattle. I think it's going to be a close game, which I hope it is. I hope it's kind of like it was the last time these two played in the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a blast. I can't wait. And I can't wait because that means I hate the football season's over, but that means we can finally get on to find out what the hell the Bengals are going to do. So
you know what else it means? It means we're on the basketball season.
Yeah, I'm a Bearcat, man. We're not doing so high. Well, I mean, Kentucky you're covering Kentucky. How hard is that right now?
Here's the thing about this Kentucky season. It has been much more of a roller coaster than I ever thought. But I'm having more fun covering this year's team than I did last year because I think the expectations were lowered to such a point that now that they've won 7 of 8, it's like, ooh, let's see how good this team can be. Otega Owe, I mean, you know what? You know what? I'll end with this. You like cake, right, Ice?
I do.
Favorite kind of cake, real quick?
Chocolate.
Ooh, good pick. I'm a German chocolate guy, so I'm right there with you. All right.
There you go.
So Otega Owe was kind of struggling a little bit earlier this year. Spoiler alert, he still has double-digit points in every game this season, 24 or 23 of them. So Mark Pope, in his philosophical nature that I've kind of grown to like, honestly, about Otega Owe, he told him earlier this season, he's like, stop worrying about the icing. Just focus on baking the cake, and the rest will take care of itself. He has 24 points in each of his last 2 games. Clearly, just when you bake the cake, good things happen.
Exactly. Now, my favorite story to watch right now in college basketball is Miami.
Absolutely.
22-0 right now.
23.
23-0. They play Friday, Saturday, I think it is. I can't remember. I have to look it up again. But at least I'm a Bearcat fan. It's been very frustrating. I know they're playing tonight here. I'm going to go.
Here's what I'll say about the Bearcats real quick, and I know a lot of fans are frustrated. Wes Miller is a good dude. I generally love being around the guy. I just think he's a little bit over his head running the Bearcats program in the Big 12. We all thought it could work 3 years in, myself included. I really hope he succeeds in his head coaching career, whether it be here, whether it be somewhere else. Because I do think he's deserving of that success. It just hasn't worked out. And for both parties, Ice, at the end of the season, go in a different direction. That's just how I view it.
I completely agree with you. I think he's a hell of a recruiter. I do think he's in over his head. He reminds me of Travis Steele at Xavier. I think Travis Steele at Xavier was in over his head. He's went to Miami, and he's done a great job. I expect Travis Steele to get another job next year or soon after that. And hey, I wouldn't mind him coming to the Bearcats. Call me crazy for Xavier coach coming here, but hey, I would be fine with that. But that's what I think Wes needs to do. I think he got the job. He's just not ready for it because he just situational basketball. He doesn't know what to do. I mean, there's been so many times that we've went down and shot the ball with only running off 3 seconds off the shot clock, and we're on the other team's on a run. You need to slow down. We can't get defensive stops. Can't rebound the ball. I can't tell you what our offense is supposed to be, other than shooting at 3-pointers. There is no back cuts, cutting to the basket, too much dribbling, not enough ball movement. I mean, I got a list of things that just it's simple basketball that I don't see, and I don't ever see him making an adjustment. The only time I saw him make an adjustment was when we beat Iowa State. They did make adjustments there, and he hasn't done it since then. So, yeah, I do think it's time for him to move on. Good.
Final point that I'll make is this. Look at programs like Gonzaga and St. Mary's, and you wonder why they're always in the West Coast Conference Tournament Championship game every year. Because they have head coaches that, first off, know what the heck they're doing. Mm-hmm. And they also understand that, you know what? Maybe the grass isn't always greener at a Power 4 conference. Right. Maybe I'm doing just fine here, where the expectations, they're high at Gonzaga and St. Mary's, but I'm not going to get heavily scrutinized. I can run my program the way I want to. And there's a reason maybe that Mark Few hasn't left Gonzaga since 99. There's a reason that Randy Bennett hasn't left St. Mary since whenever he's been there. There's a reason. And it's okay for Wes Miller to realize that. He is a head coach that does better when the expectations aren't as high. It's okay.
Yeah, and for UC, we've won that two national championship games. We've had Huggins, we had Mick Cronin. We expect going into the Big 12, we expect to compete for Big 12 championships. We expect to get in the NCAA tournament every year. We expect to go far in the NCAA tournament. There's things we expect, and we haven't been to the NCAA tournament since Mick Cronin, and that's been, I think, 8 years now. We had 2 years of Brandon, and this is the 6th year of Wes Miller. That's way too long. Frankie, appreciate it, brother. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Ice, enjoy the Super Bowl. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Pray for warm weather. Pray for Nancy Guthrie, too, most importantly. That's just such a sad story. I don't mean to end on a sad note there.
No, you're good. You're good. It is.
Yeah,